Welcome back. Welcome back. Your man Diamond K in here. Of course, the Diamond K Show on firebroadcasting.com, the diamondkshow.com. Hope everybody's having a great weekend and all of that stuff. A lot of topics that I want to discuss today. A lot of things that we need to chop it up about. They say that this was the deciding factor of the election, the price of eggs. Right? They've been saying the price of eggs, that's why they voted for Trump. The ones that did that, the price of eggs was too high. And I want to talk about the price of eggs. I want to talk about why the egg prices are so high and why they are going to get higher with other food prices as well. We're going to talk about the U.S. Coast Guard officially starting to use the Gulf of America and how and why Trump changed the name of the Gulf of Mexico and the mountain in Alaska. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about federal prisons having to house transgender women in the men facilities. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Target being the latest company to roll back its DEI programs. We're going to talk about that. And the judge blocking Trump's blatantly unconstitutional executive order to end birthright citizenship. We're going to talk about all of these things and much more today on the show. So, of course, you can follow me on all social media at The Diamond K Show. Of course, on YouTube, I am DJ Diamond K. And website onfirebroadcasting.com and thediamondkshow.com. So we got all that stuff out of the way. And, you know, there's been this discussion about egg prices, right? And if you have been to the supermarket, you've been to the grocery store, you have seen some empty shelves, you've seen some higher prices. That is what many folks are seeing if you go to purchase eggs. That is what you will see. And they're calling this eggflation, right? They're calling this eggflation. Egg prices have been soaring recently. The average price for a dozen grade A eggs has risen from about $3.30 in October to $4.15 in December. And this is according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. And these days, it is not unheard of for a dozen eggs to cost as much as $12 or $1 per egg. What is going on here? I thought Trump was supposed to bring down the prices of eggs, right? I thought Trump was supposed to bring down the prices of eggs. Not going to happen the way things have been going as of late. So it comes down to a nationwide outbreak of influenza, what they call the bird flu. New cases of the bird flu have emerged in nearly 25 states this month, according to the USDA and the CDC. So we have that going on. That is a major thing affecting the eggs. So this outbreak has farms and the folks the influenza. Some entire populations of the birds have been spreading this disease. So it has killed nearly 3,000 hens, or it caused the death of 3,000 hens, right? Because when they get this disease, many times the farmers are putting these animals down after that. So you have that. And this bird flu outbreak started in 2022. More than 135 million birds have been affected. It is especially harmful, and it can quickly spread from bird to bird. So once the bird gets the flu, they are taken out in short order because it spreads very quickly. This virus has been popping up in other animals as well. So this has been popping up in cows, cats, skunks, bears, more than 24 cases in cats have been seen since early December. Now, cats could contract bird flu through eating a raw diet, interacting with wildlife. There are a lot of ways. So folks are wondering, when are the prices of eggs going to go down? It's a good question. And with the flu cases on the rise in recent months, egg prices at your grocery store are not likely going to go down anytime soon. In fact, the prices of eggs are going to continue to rise. Now, since December, more than 13 million birds have been lost nationwide due to outbreaks of this flu, this bird flu. And this is resulting in record high prices as egg producers struggle to provide a consistent supply to consumers. So you have the demand, but you do not have the consistent supply. This is going to lead to higher prices. So to deal with the shortages, many grocery stores are setting limits, right? They're setting limits per shopping trip on egg buying. And they're posting signs warning of the egg shortages. Now, some people wonder, does the bird flu that is causing this problem, does this affect humans? Now, this flu, this particular strand of the flu, this virus, does not normally affect humans, but on occasion, human infection can occur. So this year, it has infected a couple dozen people in about 10 states, and has spread even to Canada. So the danger is not as bad as some other types of flu. But in December, California declared a state of emergency because of the spread of this virus in its dairy cows, which was getting some folks sick. The FDA also says that the likelihood of eggs from infected birds reaching the shelves is low. So it's no need for folks to panic, but we do need to be prepared for this rise in prices to continue. Also, the agency recommends cooking eggs to a safe temperature and avoiding cross-contamination between raw and cooked foods. So some of y'all like those sunny side eggs, those runny eggs. I've never been a fan of that. I've been a fan of hard cooked eggs and fried eggs fried hard or scrambled, whatever. But you definitely want to be careful. And I definitely recommend now more than ever. My father likes the runny eggs. It's an acquired taste, right? But if you want runny looking eggs, just add more cheese. Right? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Of course, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok at The Diamond K Show. Of course, onfirebroadcasting.com, thediamondkshow.com. So we are moving from that. Now, there has been this, with Donald Trump coming into office, we obviously knew that the probability of circus-like behavior was high. But when you're talking about being in the office of the president, the highest office, the most powerful person in the world, the circus behavior is not that funny, right? Because you're talking about someone that can impact the lives of the world, really. And so we talked about, because he said he was going to bring down the price of everything. Of course, he's backtracking, flip-flopping, and folks, the MAGA supporters are carrying water for him and dealing with and buying into his excuses. These are what we call low propensity voters, right? Don't really check on the facts. They just go with whatever. So we got some questions, and I thought I would get into it. Some people were asking, can Trump just order new names for the Denali, the mountains, or the Gulf of Mexico? And so I'm going to talk a little bit about what actually goes on a map, right? What causes, what influences, what affects what we see. And even the U.S. Coast Guard now said that they're going to start calling the Gulf of Mexico, formerly the Gulf of Mexico, they're going to start calling that the Gulf of America. So you may be wondering how, why, how can he do this? Donald Trump made an executive order to rename the Gulf of Mexico and Alaska's mountain Denali. And this is the tallest peak in the country. So it has caused a lot of discussion. It has had a lot of controversy attached to it. Now, for some, renaming might seem not that important. Why was this something that he did day one? Why did he want to do this? This is something that folks have been talking about, so we're going to dive into it. We have a lot of problems in the country. And, for myself, renaming these landmarks seems less important than some of the bigger problems that the country is facing. There is a formal process in America for renaming places, and that process is taken seriously. This is, something that they want to be taken seriously because you don't want folks to get confused. Now, usually people don't get confused. Official, agreed upon names are used by the government, and that's what it is. It's laid out pretty straightforward like that. In America, place names are standardized by the U.S. Board on Geographic Names. Now, this is part of the United States Geological Survey, and the agency is in charge of making maps. Right? Now, it seems like that is something that's straightforward, right? It's not too complicated there. Now, but Donald Trump in his executive order asked the Board on Geographic Names to honor the contributions of visionary and patriotic Americans and change its policies and procedures to reflect that. Otherwise, whatever he says, that's what it should be, right? Now, usually the renaming process starts locally. People in a state or county propose a name change and gather support for the said name change. The process is different in each state, but that's generally how it goes. So Minnesota recently changed the name of a large lake in Minneapolis to another name. And this was a Dakota name. And, so the Dakota name for the lake has been passed down in oral history for many years. And folks in the community wanted to change the name of that lake. And they went about that process of changing the name. So the board voted to change the name, took the request to the county commissioners. When the county agreed, the request was sent to the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, which made it official for Minnesota. Then the state of Minnesota sent a request to the Board on Geographic Names, which made it official for the entire country. That's how the process worked there. And it is a lot of paperwork for something that seems to be minor, but people get passionate about place names. It took 40 years to rename Denali from the name established in the late 19th century to Mount McKinley, right? So it was called Mount McKinley. Now, the state of Alaska requested the name change in 1975, but the Board on Geographic Names did not take action. Members of the Ohio congressional delegation, President William McKinley was from Ohio, objected over many years to the requests to rename the mountain, and the board did not act on those requests. So for many years, there was that, I don't want to say a groundswell, but there were requests. The president appoints the Secretary of the Interior Department. The secretary works with the heads of regulated agencies to appoint the Board on Geographic Names. Now, current committee policy states that input from state geographic names authorities, land management agencies, local governments, and tribal governments are actively pursued. Now, here is why Donald Trump wanted to change the name of the mountain Denali in Alaska. In 2015, President Barack Obama named a new leader for the Department of Interior. Her name, Sally Jewell. Just as Obama made a trip to Alaska in late August of 2015, Jewell declared the name change under a law that allows the Secretary of Interior to change a name if the board does not act on a proposal in a reasonable amount of time. So, if you are getting what I am laying down, the real reason that Donald Trump wanted to change the name of the mountain was because Barack Obama had the name changed. All right. So the name change was done in August of 2015 from Mount McKinley to Denali. And now Donald Trump has changed the name Denali back to Mount McKinley. So the name, like I said, has been official for use by Alaska since 1975. But even more importantly, the mountain was known as Denali for generations. Right. This is something that Native Americans have done, and folks that occupied that land even before it was called America, generations. And so that is something Alaskan natives were in strong support of, calling the mountain Denali. And McKinley, it was changed to, and now it's back, and maybe another Democrat's going to come and change it back, and maybe that's what's going to happen. I'm not sure why, but to me it just seems like so many other things. Now, we talked about that, so now we're going to talk about the Gulf of Mexico, which is a little bit different. Right now, we talk about how not to change a name of a place. So renaming the Gulf of Mexico is a different case. So it's different from renaming a geographic place within the borders of America. So you have a mountain that is in America and it's in Alaska, and you can change the name. America, this is the name of our place. Boom, that's what it is. But renaming the Gulf of Mexico is a little bit different because the Gulf is not within the territorial United States. On the coast, the first 12 miles from the shore are considered part of that country. But outside of that is what they call international waters. And the Board on Geographic Names could change the name to the Gulf of America on official U.S. maps. No problem with that. But there is no international board in charge of name places changes, right? So we're going to say in America, this is the Gulf of Mexico, and our maps will reflect that. But outside of America, we can't force countries to call the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America now. We can't. There is no way. Each country decides what to call places, and there is no official way for the United States to make other countries, call the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America. Now, it's possible that the United States could formally ask countries to change the name, or even impose sanctions against countries that don't apply. Donald Trump will probably lean in that direction. But if names were officially changed in the United States by the government, the government would use the new names in official documents, signage, and maps, and all that kind of stuff. As for people and companies in the world that make maps, they usually use the official names, but there's nothing that would force them to, per se, if they believed that a certain name is more widely recognized. And so on January 24th of this year, the United States Department of Interior issued a statement on the name changes, and it said, in part, in accordance with President Donald Trump's recent executive order, the Department of Interior is proud to announce the implementation of name restorations that honor the legacy of American greatness, with efforts already underway. As directed by the president, the Gulf of Mexico will now officially be known as the Gulf of America, and North America's highest peak will once again bear the name Mount McKinley. The U.S. Board of Geographic Names, under the purview of the Department of Interior, is working to expeditiously update the official federal and geographic names information system, blah, blah, blah. So you have that. This is one of the pet projects, but I say the main thing with regards to the mountain, it's about being petty with regards to Barack Obama changing the name. So definitely let me know your thoughts, of course, in the comment section. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky, at The Diamond K Show. Of course, on YouTube, make sure you're following DJ Diamond K. Also visit us on firebroadcasting.com, thediamondkshow.com. So since we're on the executive orders and different things that Trump has been doing, let's talk about let's do this. We're going to talk about the birthright citizenship. So that is a controversial thing. A judge has blocked Donald Trump's blatantly unconstitutional executive order that aims to end birthright citizenship. So judge pushing back, and no surprise there, federal judge Thursday said that Donald Trump's executive order ending birthright citizenship was blatantly unconstitutional, and issued a temporary restraining order to block it. The judge, this is no woke judge. This judge was appointed by Ronald Reagan. He sits in Seattle, and he granted the request by Washington's Attorney General Nick Brown and 3 other Democratic-led states for an emergency order halting the implementation of the policy for the next 14 days while there are more briefings on the legal challenge. So we're going to look at that. The judge says that I have been on the bench for over 4 decades. I can't remember another case where the question presented was as clear. He's saying he's been on the bench for 40 years, and he's never seen something that was so clearly defined in the Constitution. Trump's executive order is a blatant violation of the Constitution's 14th Amendment, which guarantees citizenship to all children born on U.S. soil and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Pretty simple, right? Trump's own son, right? His mother's, I mean, whatever. Okay, we can go on and on. But this is going to be one of many cases that I'm sure that are going to come up. Babies are being born here today, and the plaintiffs states and around the country, with which this, if things go the way Donald Trump wants them to go with this regard, a cloud would be cast over their citizenship. Children denied citizenship under Trump's order would face long-term, substantial negative impacts. Absolutely. So let's say that the parents, so yes, some people are coming here and having their children here in America, and the parents are citizens of somewhere else. If America does not say that those children born here are citizens, it's not the birth country of the parents. They're going to say the child wasn't born here, and the child is going to be in this purgatory with no statehood, and it is very concerning. There are other active cases around the country. A handful of other lawsuits have been brought against this order, including a separate group led by Democratic attorneys general and immigrant rights groups and individual plaintiffs. This is going to be a mess. So you have folks that this is part of the Constitution, and I thought Republicans love the Constitution, and everybody should love the Constitution. But this executive order that was issued during a time of change of administration It is so very early for the agencies to develop their policies that would be necessary to even implement something like this. This is just not the time at all. So the judge is set to consider a request by the plaintiffs to temporarily block the order during a hearing on February the 5th. So you have that, and there's another one. A case brought by the American Civil Liberties Union and other civil rights and immigration rights groups in New Hampshire. A federal judge there has set a hearing for February 10th to consider the group's request to block the order from taking effect for now. So there's a handful of lawsuits. I anticipate that there are going to be more as Donald Trump tries to implement the Project 2025 handbook that he said, I know nothing about the Project 2025, what he's trying to say about me. Everything is so unfair. You remember he said all that kind of stuff, and now he's laying out these things that he claimed he didn't know nothing about. It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny to watch him try to do this, to try to lie about these things, and the MAGA folks, they're not even making any excuses about it. They're like, yeah, it is what it is. Now, I talk about often things that Trump does that I disagree with, and most things that Trump does I disagree with. But anyway, I'm going to talk about something that I do agree with, and that is the order that is, some folks are gonna say this is. I'm not gonna say this is a third rail like Medicare or Medicaid. These are the things that if they touch this topic, that the politicians have no chance of winning. This is a controversial topic, but I don't think it's a third rail per se. But an executive order that Donald Trump signed on his first day back in office offers the new federal government a definition of sexes that will have a major impact on transgender people nationwide. So the order calls for the federal government to define sex as only male or female, and for that to be reflected on official documents such as passports and policies such as federal prison assignments. So as far as federal spending, it's not clear what his vow to end a broader gender classification would mean on the ground. But as it relates to folks in prison, transgender women, which are, someone that was born as a man who identifies as a woman, according to this, they would have to go into the prison that houses males. So we're talking about a male who identifies as a female, a born male who identifies as a female, has to go to prison with other males. I have no problem with that. I agree with that. But I know that is probably something that is controversial for folks. But the order, as I said, calls for this clear definement on a federal level of males and females. Now, to me, it seems like common sense. This provision is likely going to be challenged in court. And the defining male and female based on cells that don't exist at conception, right? It's just two sexes. I mean, I thought that was pretty straightforward. I didn't think that this was something that was, something that we did not have a complete understanding of. And if you identify as whatever you identify, right? But you have the body parts of what you claim to not identify with. To me, this is pretty straightforward. The order says that it is intending to protect women spaces from those who self-identify as women. It defines the sexes in an unconventional way. based on the reproductive cells, large cells in the females or small ones in the males. And it suggests that humans have those cells at conception. Biology rather, I guess it would say that there's a problem because an egg cell can develop many weeks later, and the sperm cells are produced at puberty, not at conception. And folks are going to make different arguments, and I guess that I understand that you have the right to make the argument, and just like we were talking about with birthright citizenship, which Trump made an executive order on, which I don't agree with, and I support the cases that are challenging that. In this particular order, I support the executive order. And we're going to talk about what parts of this order are in effect. So the order has been signed, but much of it requires more federal action. So nothing is in effect per se. The executive order tells, a White House staff member to draft a bill for Congress within 30 days that would codify the definitions into law. It's interesting that they didn't have a lot of this stuff already done, because he's known for couple months that he was going into the White House. I'm surprised they didn't have some of these things done. But state laws on participation in sports, bathroom use, gender affirming care, and other issues are not directly affected. I know that many folks are, really big on the bathroom issue. And some people are asking, what does it mean for federally issued documents? So the order calls for passports, visas, global entry cards to reflect the administration's definition of sexes. The State Department, which is responsible for the passports, has declined any answer to questions about the current state policy. The order suggests getting rid of the X designation that has been available on passports since 2021 after a long legal battle was waged by intersex activists. So they fought hard for some of these documents to have an X designation. That is going to be effective. And the department webpage that described how people could change their gender marker has been taken offline. And it's unlikely that any new application to change the gender marker on a passport will be approved. So White House spokesman told news outlets this week that passports that do not have that have not expired will remain valid, but people will have to comply with this new order when they apply for a new passport or renew an old one. Now, this is something that we've talked about this for years. This has been something that has been concerning for years, and that is transgender federal prison inmates. So this order contains very specific details on how it should apply in federal prisons, which house nearly 2,300 transgender inmates, which is about 1.5% of the total population. So not a lot of folks, but they are taking a stand on this. And the prison system is a mess. The prison system is a disaster and needs to be cleaned up. And there are a lot of things that need to be changed in the prison system. But I think that it is important to change the things that you can change. So something that is small, so we're talking about just 1.5% of the population, that's something that can be rolled into some type of a change pretty quickly, right? Because we're not talking about a lot of people. Now, the nearly 2,300 transgender inmates, like I said, this calls for the housing of transgender women. These are transgender women defining, the definition is men who identify as women, right? And so there are more than 1,500 in men's prison and for halting gender affirming medical care. At least 2 transgender inmates have had government-funded gender-affirming surgery in recent years as a result of court orders. Isn't that interesting? Kind of a surprise that that's something that was going on. A large number have received other treatment like hormones, shots, pills, that kind of thing. And so the Bureau of Prisons did not respond to questions about whether inmates are to be removed. Now, some folks are wondering, will this stop Medicaid from paying for gender-affirming care? Medicaid, which is a joint federal-state health insurance program for lower-income folks, covers gender-affirming care in some states. Biden's administration adopted a rule to make it do so nationally, but judges put that on hold. So it's actually unclear what's going to happen to coverage in states that choose to offer it. I'm going to have to continue to look into that. And so, I don't know. Ultimately, a male who identifies as a female, right, that they still have male parts, they need to be in the prison with other males, at least from where I sit. Let me know your thoughts, of course, in the comment section. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky, at The Diamond K Show. Of course, on firebroadcasting.com, thediamondkshow.com. And, I know that folks feel strongly about this. You can call yourself whatever you want. But I believe that men should be. Now, it's going to be harder as in cases of the bathrooms, right? So this is not going to directly affect the bathrooms, but it is going to affect the prisons at some point in time. Federal prisons must house transgender women in the men facilities. I identify as this, all right? But you still have the body parts, right? And you still have those urges, because we've seen those instances where transgender women, men who identify as women, are impregnating, females. We've seen some cases like that. So I don't know how they're getting. You know what I mean? Come on now. Let's be serious here. Last thing before we get out of here, Target is the latest company to roll back some DEI programs. And tomorrow we're going to speak more about DEI in depth, because I think that DEI is like this blanket word that's just kind of getting thrown on a lot of different things. And I am not we'll get into that tomorrow. I don't want to get too far into it, because I really want to dissect it on tomorrow's show. But Target is the latest company to roll back some of its DEI programs. And Target has joined a wave of companies pulling back on diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. There's been pressure from the right wing, and the right wing has pressure. Campaigns have led companies to alter their commitment to hiring what we're calling diverse candidates, it's really been something. So there has been this 3-year diversity, equity, and inclusion goal that Target said they are now ending, and they said that those goals included ensuring equitable access to career advancement and equitable business decisions that increase relevance with diverse guests and support economic inclusivity. Target has also confirmed that in 2020 to expand, or what they committed in 2020 to expand black representation at the company by 20%. They're dialing back all of that. And they're dialing back their commitments to expand representation to diverse groups in response to this pressure from right-wing activists. Now, lawsuits from conservative legal groups Demands from conservative-leaning customers and other factors have brought this about. Target said on Friday that it will stop participating in all external diversity-focused surveys, including a popular one from the Human Rights Campaign, which is an LGBTQ advocacy group. And it said that it is further evaluating corporate partnerships and changing its supplier diversity team and supplier engagement. And they're going to be making a whole lot of changes. Some folks are talking about a Target boycott. And this shift from Target reflects a shift from its previous policies and statements. So 2 years ago, 2023, Target's CEO defended Target's diversity initiatives, saying at the time that I know that focus on diversity and inclusion and equity has fueled much of our growth over the last 9 years. He said in 2023 that I'm really proud of the work we've done in the DEI space. Now, he is saying, now that they have taken a complete 360. Now, DEI has become a dirty word. And DEI is generally a mix of employee training, employee resource networks, recruiting practices, and just advanced representation of different races, genders, classes, people with disabilities, veterans, and other underrepresented groups. Now, Target has joined Amazon and Meta, Walmart, McDonald's, and others that have recently changed or ended their DEI programs. Trump said last week that he is placing employees in any federal diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility offices on leave. The Trump administration plans to take further aim at diversity programs. They want to really bring the hammer down on what they're calling DEI. So Target's statement on Friday is a nod to the current political environment. They are, reversing things that they've said before. So you have a bunch of companies, maybe I don't want to say a bunch, but you have some prominent companies that are standing behind their DEI initiatives. Some companies that are standing firmly behind these efforts are Costco and Apple. So Costco shareholders this week voted strongly against a proposal from a right-wing organization requesting a report on the risks of maintaining its diversity and inclusion initiatives. So let's make sure we understand this, that you have strong forces on the other side of this issue trying to tie the initiatives of hiring different races, different genders, and tying that to the money. And they're trying to say this is not in your financial best interest to have DEI. That's kind of how they're trying to do it. And many companies, like we said, have folded under this pressure. But Apple, Costco are standing strong, while Amazon, Meta, Walmart, McDonald's, and others have caved into the pressure. So it shows you that these companies that have caved were not really strong on those efforts and did that because they're going whichever way the wind blows. Whichever way that the wind blows. Costco said that its DEI efforts help the company attract and retain a wide range of employees and improve merchandise and services in the store. Costco also said its members want to interact with a diverse employee base. And so the Reverend Al Sharpton and his National Action Network had a rally, and they're really supporting and standing behind Costco. So you're going to see a lot of folks pushing and promoting Costco over the next years, more than likely. They're talking about, I'm seeing online, folks talking about a boycott of Target and some of these other retailers. This is a very interesting climate that we are in right now. So you're going to see folks that are going to the left, going to the right, some folks staying in the middle. Definitely let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Of course, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok at The Diamond K Show. Of course, Threads, Blue Sky. I am at The Diamond K Show. Make sure you're subscribed. YouTube.com/DJ Diamond K. Visit us online at onfirebroadcasting.com, thediamondkshow.com. Are you still going to Target? Are you boycotting? Are you not interested at all? Does it not faze you at all? The obvious political leanings of a company that you spend your money with. I'd like to know that. I think in some instances, you can, choose where you shop. Obviously, you won't see me buying My Pillow from Mike Liddell, and you won't see me getting a Tesla, and that is strictly on the political views of these companies or the leadership of the companies. So my thing is this: if you're selling a product, my thing is it's probably best that you don't make your political views known because you're trying to sell a product. Now, if you're in politics, that's something different, right? If you're in media, it's something different. But we have a lot of these recording artists making political decisions and know nothing about politics. I think that if you are ignorant to politics and you are a musician, an entertainer, an actor, you should shut up about politics because you don't know nothing about it. And you run the risk of affecting your bottom line, whether folks go to your concerts or go to your movies because of statements that you make about politics and you don't even know that much about it. So I think that when it comes to some of the recent entertainers that have made decisions, we're going to talk about that on tomorrow's show as well. But I just think that folks should stay in their own lane. And I'm not saying shut up and dribble, right? I'm just saying that if you know that your statements in today's time, you should know that they're going to affect your fan base. And when you have an artist like Snoop, for instance, who I am thoroughly disappointed in, we're going to talk about that tomorrow, but I'm thoroughly disappointed in because he's making decisions by performing at Trump's inauguration events that will isolate members of his base, his core. Those MAGA supporters they say Snoop's probably cool, but they don't like his music like that. They're not playing his music like that. They're not going to his concerts. And yeah, you can come up there and say you love Trump and all that, and they'll be like, okay. But you saw the video, the supporters of MAGA, they were very lackluster in their reaction to Snoop. They weren't excited. They didn't know the songs. They really just wanted him to get off the stage. And if you are an entertainer and you're making a decision for a quick check, but this check is going to long-term affect you. Like there's going to be some concerts that he goes to that they're going to probably be booing him, or they're not going to be going to the concerts because they're going to be looking at him as a sellout, which he seems to be, right? And then you just dropped the album, Snoop. Snoop just dropped the album with Dr. Dre. That is not good, okay? It is not good. And making moves like this, aligning yourself with the MAGA crowd who are not going to buy your albums. They're not going to stream your songs. They're not going to go to your concerts. They're not going to buy your merch, right? None of that kind of stuff. What are you doing? So you're making a decision. You're supposed to be a businessman. He's supposed to be a businessman, but he's making bad business moves. So we're going to talk more about that tomorrow. And of course, as always, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. And I will see you guys next time.